Hey, welcome everyone to another Rock Writers Ramble podcast. My guest today from Metal Allegiance and of course Testament, the Alex Skolnick Trio, the list goes on. It's Alex Skolnick. Alex, how are you?
I'm great. It's good to be here.
Now, of course, Alex, what I really want to talk about today is the new Metal Allegiance record, Drunk Majesty, which is out on September 7th. And my first question for you is, with this being the second album from Metal Allegiance, I'm curious, when you guys were making the first one, was this originally thought of to be a long-term thing? I mean, did you have a plan beyond that first album?
We really didn't have a plan. I think all of us have been around long enough to know that something you can't plan. You can plan too much, which we didn't want to do. All we planned to do was to get together, write some music, and just see how it went. And you know what? If the result was it's P, that would have been more than satisfactory. Just a few songs. As it turned out, we had no problem coming up with a whole albums with the music. And the next thing you know, we had all these singers that wanted to be involved, and Good Blast Records came on board and gave us a multi-record deal. And once these steps happened, that changed, and then suddenly, okay, this is not a one-shot thing. It's for real, and it's been going great. We're all really excited about this new record coming out.
Definitely. You've got some very cool teaser clips, if you will. You've made some videos, of course. The brand new John Bush track is amazing, and I'm very curious to always hear about songwriting. I love the process. I love the in-depth nature of the whole situation. How does the songwriting come together for Metal Allegiance?
Well, I would say it's different for every song. Most of the songs happen when we're sort of in this initial stage, it's a bit like creating a foundation for a house or a building that you build upon. And that stage is really coming up with the music. And in this case, for this record, there was a session of about a half a week that was myself, Mike Portnoy, and Mark Bengy, and then another half-a-week session with Dave Ellison as well. And putting those together, it was probably just over a week. And in that period, we're just compiling ideas. I might have some ideas laying around. There were a couple of tracks where I actually had demos of music that I thought would be good for Metal Allegiance. I'm always trying to document music, whether it's just capturing an idea on a voice memo or taking it to the next step and multi-tracking it. And I actually had a couple multi-track demos that ended up being the opening track, The Accuser, and the closing track, Drunk Majesty Part 2. And we built off of those. And then there were some other parts that Mark, for example, had the chorus to the John Bush song, Bound by Silence. And then the song with Bobby Blitz, Mother of Sin, we were just playing around. It was really just a jam session. And then Mike played a certain drum beat, which caused me to play that opening riff. And right away, everybody, we stopped and just said, oh, that riff, and then we would talk through it. And at the end of that those sessions, we had most of the music, and then the next step was like building off of that, coming up with additional melodies, vocal parts, etc.
Oh, that's great. Can I just say how great it is to see Floor Jansen included on this? Because in my mind, she's definitely one of the best female metal vocalists out there right now.
For sure, for sure. She really brings something special to the project. She's one of the vocalists. Flora is. She's one of the ones that really, just came up with a whole new idea on top of the music. Johan, our other European vocalist, did the same thing. They immediately heard things for them. Where some of the other folks were looking for some guidance, and there were a few songs where I actually would sing myself to create guide vocal tracks, and I would tell the vocalist, whatever you do, don't try to sound like me. I can sing, but I am not a metal singer. However, I can do very good guide vocal tracks, and I think there's like half a dozen of these laying around, and Mark Mangy threatens to blackmail me by putting them out. But what often would happen is Mark would come up with lyrics, and there was a lot of lyrics. I remember this song, the opening track, The Accuser, he had like 3 songs worth of lyrics. And I said, the good news is these words are very good. The bad news is no way we can use them all.
Right.
But he's very open to it. He just said, do something with them. So I actually came up with the placement and the vocal melody and did a rough demo of the track using Mark's words. And then when we got Trevor from Black Dahlia Murder to sing the part, he used that as a guide, but sang it like him, and with this voice that's just unmistakable. So a lot of teamwork and a lot of collaborative effort.
Oh, that's great. Well, that actually leads me into my next question about each individual vocalist, because I was wondering, were the songs intended for certain vocalists, or you mentioned some of them adding to it? Because I used the example of Gift of Pain on the first record, which is totally in Randy Blythe's wheelhouse, and then of course Wait Until Tomorrow, completely that Doug Pinnick ambience. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a you have to give credit to the vocalists because they did such a great job that it really sounds like the whole song was written with them in mind, and that's not always the case. I mean, there are some examples, like this song King with the Paper Crown with Johan from Amon Amarth. I had toured with Amon Amarth. I knew Johan, and I was interested in doing a track. So that tune, I think we were pretty certain that that's the one that's sent to him. But then, some of the other ones, like Bobby Blitz, that could have gone either way. I think he would have done a fine job on some of the other tunes, too. Like the first track, for example, The Accuser. But I think it's great that he got Mother of Sin because, he's able to do more with that track, given his voice. But it's not obvious right away. You really take some listening and just imagining each voice on each track. And sometimes you think a tune's perfect for one person, and then you go through this process and you picture it and you decide, what, it's not going to work, but they would sound great on this tune. But again, every song happens in a different way.
Sure. Now, did you have more vocalists and players who wanted in on this than you had room for? Because I'm just curious, because it seems like by now, when the second album was coming around, it's really a hot property at this point. Was that the case at all?
Um, yes and no. I mean, I think even like no matter what, it's always to deal with scheduling, and there's always folks that we'd like to come on board that aren't able to do it for scheduling reasons. Um, but you know, we end up it ended up like in a way that you can't imagine it happening any other way. Um, so yeah, I mean, people are interested in doing it, but then it's also there's the reality. Are they on tour at that time? At the time we need them to do it, are they in the studio at that time? So just between the number of the number of folks that were interested versus the number of folks who were available to do it in time for us to turn it in when we needed to turn it in for it to come out this year was that wasn't really a big number, but it was just enough.
Sure. Now, turning to the live show for you guys, every live clip I've ever seen, it just seems like you guys are having a blast up there on stage. And I know the album release show is coming up at the Gramercy Theater in New York. So I'm curious, what can fans expect from that one? Or maybe can we not reveal too much about that?
Well, I mean, there's a list of everybody who's doing it. Um, Bobby, Bobby Blitz, John Bush. They said they really seem like perfect additions to the whole thing. And luckily, Trevor is based in New York, so he's able to come out and join us. Andreas is coming out from Brazil to play second guitar. Floor is on tour in Europe, so she's hard to get, but we got Lisa from Manglish, who's part of the family and has been on tracks and performed with us before. So she'll come there. And Dave Ellison is coming out. Mark and myself and Mike Portnoy were already in the New York area. And I think everybody is on the poster. There may be one or two surprise guests, but I can't talk about those. But one fun thing about doing these big shows with all these different artists, it's always different. Yeah, it's never the exact same show, and every show is special. So, and I think the fans are really starting to appreciate that, and they've been spreading the word, and they seem to know that if you can catch one of these shows, you've got to catch it because that's special, and it rarely happens the same way twice.
Sure. No, that's a very cool thing. For longtime fans of yours, Alex, and guitar geeks like myself, it's very cool to hear you record the bulk of the guitars on this one. I'm curious, was there any particular song from either album that you really had a great time laying down all these parts and really got off on the performance?
Yeah. Well, thanks for saying that. I mean, it's a new thing for me. In a live concert, everybody plays riffs, right? So even if you go to a Metallica concert, well, both Kurt and James are playing the rhythms. But in the studio, it's James, and then you have and there's a lot of bands that are like that. With Testament, it used to be both of us doing riffs, but it's the recent wave of records they're doing the riffs, which he sounds great doing it. So that's fine. But I do enjoy being able to play the riffs as I came up with them. And also some of the songs are influenced by pre-thrash riffs. The way I got into metal with Ozzy, Dio, and the guys like Randy Rhoads and Vivian Campbell, also doing the rhythms, doing fills and stuff. So I really had a good time, being able to do that. So if I had to pick a song, that I most enjoyed playing the riffs on this record. It's a tough one because there are quite a few. Impulse Control was a fun one. The Monocross Waited in because it just feels. It reminds me of like that period of Ozzy a little bit.
Mm.
You know, and I could sneak in some sort of Andy Rhodes type fills. But also the title track, which is in it was actually two tracks, but Drunk Majesty. I just thought, especially part 2.
Oh, that's very cool.
Yeah, because it's very melodic. There's a lot of single note stuff going on. But there's also, if you listen under Floor's melody, I'm actually playing, what she sings. So that was actually a melody I came up with in the initial jam sessions. And I wasn't sure if that would be a vocal part, but when she sang to it, it made so much sense. It became this really cool hook. But it's fun because it goes back and forth from chords to a real melodic part that sounds like a lead line and then chords again. So that was, it was a bit of a challenge to compose, just have it sound seamless. But once it was done, then it was really fun to play.
So I'm curious too, Alex. Do you think you guys will do any additional dates in 2018 beyond the New York show?
We're looking into it. Yeah, there's. I know we would like to. It's hard for Metal Allegiance to do tours because everybody's so busy, and then if like one date it's just that's much more realistic, and then we can get more people too. So if we have one show, it's a lot easier to get a nice ensemble for one show and have it be exciting than to put several dates together and get that same amount of people to have windows in their schedule.
Sure.
So I think it's possible. I think it would probably be a couple other one-off shows that hopefully they'll come through. But I know they're being looked at.
Oh, okay, great. Well, as far as touring, Alex, let me ask you. I know Testament just finished up this final Slayer tour here in the U.S. and
yeah, I just got in today.
Oh, okay. Well, my comment for you and comment/question was, I honestly can't remember seeing so many photos of Tom Araya on the tour smiling. I mean, do you get the impression? Do you get the impression that Tom is more than willing to really get off the Slayer train at this point?
I think so. I mean, I think that's one of the reasons he is smiling because he's very, he's super appreciative of it, and he's gotten to a point in his life he doesn't want to do it forever, at least not on the level that Slayer has been going. Where they do a record, they do a record cycle, which for them is very intense, and to do what he does to sing like that. I mean, gosh, I can't imagine what that's like every night. But I think now that there is it's a finite time period on it, he's really appreciative. Yeah, I've heard it before. You see, he's smiling all the time, and that's also like who he is off stage. I mean, it's so funny because that the name Slayer it's like this notorious name that brings to mind like Dante's Inferno, but off stage, he's just this very mellow, easygoing guy who's just very funny and you're seeing more of that on stage. this time. But I think it has a lot to do with the fact that, yes, he's ready to wrap it up. And I don't know if that means they'll never do it again. But I think as far as the album after album followed by a long album cycle, that you're not going to see that.
Sure.
But,
well,
they're also young enough, so they decided to one off in a few years as a special occasion. Then it's fine.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, kind of in closing here with you, Alex, I wanted to touch on one of the cool parts of your career, in my eyes, the TSO sabotage thing. I'm curious, following Paul O'Neill's death, you kind of had the inside track on those guys. Do you think that the band will actively record again? Because I know Paul was sort of the creative vision behind that, and once they lost him, I didn't really see the band wanting to go in and write and record
Right.
at that level again. What's your opinion on that?
Yeah, I mean it's really hard to say. I mean, I have a lot of friends that are still part of that organization, but I think with it's really like losing the leader in a way. I think that it caught everybody off guard. I still can't believe that happened. It's just unexpected. I know all the decisions have fallen to Paul's family, and I know his daughter Ireland is, she's a big part of it now. She's keeping it going, which is great. As far as I know, I don't know if she's a musician. I don't think so. So I think for there to be any material, I would think, with her and anybody else in Paul's family, that's they would have to make that decision, and then they would have to sort of put people in charge of it.
Sure.
Which I would guess it would be some of the same people who were involved with the previous records. And I did a few parts on the previous records, but the creative process was really mostly Paul. So I don't know how that would happen without him. But could it? Maybe. But I can't say for sure.
Yeah. I was curious because you hear the stories that he had multiple albums and projects in the works when he died, and it'd be a shame to see a lot of that lost.
Yeah, it's possible he had music in the vault, as they say.
Sure.
Just like supposedly there are many print albums that just never came out.
True.
But I also he principally a prolific recording artist. He would record constantly, and I don't know if how much of Paul's stuff actually got recorded enough to be releasable. Although I know there were things mapped out, and then I know he had other shows like dialogue and lyrics for other shows. So who knows if it's possible to complete those? But we'll see.
Yeah, time will tell for sure. Well, hey, there you go, everybody. Alex Skolnick, Metal Allegiance, the new record, Power Drunk Majesty, is out September 7th on Nuclear Blast. And Alex, I can't thank you enough for the chat.
Thank you. I should mention my Alex Skolnick Trio album is also coming out September 7th.
Ah, perfect. Hey, well, kill two birds with one stone at the record store.
Yeah.
That's we should mention. Well, hey.
Different styles, but originally Metal Allegiance was coming out in the summer, and it got pushed back. But it works out well because the whole summer ended up being filled with this tour, the Slayer farewell tour.
Sure.
and now we can concentrate on the other music. Well, Testament, thanks for bringing.
And Alex, I always thought that the jazz trio was sort of a great creative reset for you. Was that pretty much the case?
Oh, definitely, definitely. I mean, there I can explore styles that I don't go into with the heavier stuff. If I want to use a Telecaster, for example, I have this great Telecaster I got in Asheville, and it's on a song. It's called Culture Shock. Or say I want to bring in influences from a completely different style, like world music or swing, or that can all go there, and it's a great outlet for that. And the new album is all original music, by the way, other than one arrangement of a classic French piano piece. So,
Oh, that's great. Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, do remember that, folks. The two new records, September 7th. Alex is all over this new release week, so it's a very cool thing to see.
Yeah.
Well, hey, thanks so much, Alex, and best of luck with the new projects. And hopefully we'll talk again in the future.
Thanks for having me.